This is Dr. Michelle Deering here on a nice bright Sunday morning. Again, this is a time just for you, and you can use it as however you see fit. If you have thoughts or comments, or just need a space to just express how you're doing, because I want to be here for you and to be a support to you and an encouragement to you during this time where either you're working from home because you have to, or because circumstances found it such that you are at home more with your kids and your family, or if you've just always been at home doing the work that you do in caring for your family and your children. This is, again, a time for you. I shared with you how on Friday night, after our movie night, our family movie night, one of my daughters and I had crossed wires in terms of misunderstanding where the other was coming from. And so yesterday, we actually did get to go out to just go for a drive, get in a different space. And then I just asked her again about what was going on. And it was really a nice time because she got to share with me stuff that was going on inside of her right before we crossed wires, and what was going on, for the most part, had stuff to do with some things that she had been experiencing with some other people in terms of her friend group, and then in terms of how that was playing into what was going on with her and me. It was like I had light bulbs go on, where I finally understood, and she was able to share what was on her heart at the core of it. And I'm just really grateful for that time where we could connect in that way. And so now I have a better understanding about things that she needs from me. And we as moms, we want to just be there for our children, as do I want to be there for my daughters. And so we just really had a really good time afterwards. And it culminated in us going out skateboarding in our neighborhood. So anyway, that's the update on that. I'm kind of just wondering, for you, has there ever been a time where you may have misunderstood what was going on, or your wires got crossed between you and your daughter or your children in general? Because, moms, you are very important in the lives of your sons and your daughters. So if you feel comfortable sharing that, where have you crossed wires? You don't have to go into detail if you don't want to. If you want to go into detail, definitely, direct message me on the side. Want to keep things as private, but then supportive as possible. But, I mentioned maybe a couple of broadcasts ago that my thing is, my daughters know if mom's stressed out, she's going to zero in on the kitchen sink. And I think there was a period of time where they didn't understand what was it about me and the kitchen sink. And at one point I had to explain to them that because I don't like to cook a lot, I cook, but me and my cooking stories. But for me, if I have the palette clean, meaning if I have the sink clean, then it's one less hurdle for me to actually have to encounter in order to get things ready to then go and prepare a meal. So I've explained to them that, hey, if at least the sink is clean, then I know that as I'm cooking, I can actually put stuff in the sink and the area can remain clean so I can get through the task of cooking. Now, I am getting better in terms of, feeling comfortable in the kitchen and having things where I know I can reach them and stuff. But they've really, shout out to my daughters, they've actually been keeping the kitchen sink clean, as well as the rest of the kitchen counters and stuff after they use it and things of that nature. So shout out to my young ladies who are doing the adulting thing and learning how to pick up after themselves and doing it because they've had the experience of being out there with other people who may not do things the way they like, and so they're trying to expand their repertoire and pitch in. So, when was the last time you actually complimented or thanked those in your family for pitching in? Definitely make sure you give them a good shout out, extra hugs if you guys are in the same house together. Uh, there's a lot to be thankful for. And I've seen some posts where folks are talking about thankfulness. This is definitely a time to reflect on something that will lift your spirits. But definitely, I recognize that, it's Sunday and folks may be at their places of worship in terms of any virtual broadcasts. So definitely when you pop on in, pop on over to our tea time, uh, you know, be happy to sip some tea with you. Actually, today I have a blueberry flavored tea. I'm making my way through our tea collection. And so if you have any comments, I'd love to hear from you and be of encouragement to you as we are here on a bright Sunday morning. I'm actually looking out the window where I am, and there's some nice grass. And my oldest daughter yesterday told me about how, as she was just walking around our neighborhood, she noticed that in our driveway there was an anthill. And I said to her, "So, did you leave it alone?" She's like, "Yes." And it got me thinking about ants. Those are just hard workers. Those ants, I'm always amazed by how much ants are in sync with each other and how everyone has their role. No one endeavors in an ant colony to overstep the role that they have, but there's this underlying, and I know it's a chemical thing, and please, bear with me as I wax metaphorical, but there's this underlying understanding that ants have where they recognize that there's a task to be done, and then they just go and they do it. And the beautiful thing I love when I watch ants build their stuff and dig their holes. The beautiful thing I love about ants is that they, it's like they're each doing their thing. But me as an outsider, when I look in, it is building such a complex structure that's serving the purpose for the whole colony as a whole. And I think sometimes, we as moms, we can maybe lose sight of the fact that, okay, all of our doing is adding up to something, and all of the functioning within our families is adding up to something. And if we could just pause to consider, what that something is, and then just check in with each other. Since we're not ants, we're humans, we can actually talk and communicate and understand each other. If we can just check in with our family members to ask them how things going. How are you doing? How are we doing as a family? I think that could be something that you just might want to consider checking in with your family to see how are things going, as opposed to assuming that the first answer that they give you is the actual answer. So just pause and consider what you and your family members are building together, because you each have each other, and I know that you know that each person is very important, near and dear to your heart. And having that kind of conversation with them can be a really cool new point of connection with them. So keep that in mind. And again, Dr. Michelle Deering, leave your comments. Feel free. I will respond. Take care. Bye.